While we're on the subject of UFC 300, shall we get into this next kind of segment, if you will? Let's bring up the card for a start.
All right.
Is there a way we can bring up both cards and kind of mirror them so we can
do that?
If you guys aren't familiar, we still do not have a main event for UFC 300. We do, however, have one for UFC 299, which is Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera, which we've kind of briefly spoken about before. What do you think of this main event?
299.
Yes,
I think it's a good one. It's always exciting when Sean O'Malley fights, and there we go. So it doesn't have a main event. So yeah, for sure it's going to be interesting. We're going to figure a lot of stuff out. Obviously, Cheeto won the last fight, but it was an interesting win. But it was a win nonetheless. It was one of those ones where he damaged his perennial nerve, and then his foot gave out, and then he got finished pretty quickly after that happened. But nonetheless, it was caused by what was it caused by? Cheeto checked a kick from Sean. And that damaged his perennial nerve, and then from there on, Sean just had nothing for him because his foot was fucked. And then obviously Cheeto got the finish. So a lot of unanswered questions in that fight. If that injury doesn't occur, Sean was having some success at the start. He was piecing him up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then Cheeto was, walking him down, landing a couple punches, landing some kicks, checking his kicks pretty well. So they did look pretty equal at that point. And they've both come a long way since then. I think Sean's come further, and he's obviously younger. And he's obviously now got the confidence of being the champ, having beaten the champ. That's big.
Well, having beaten potentially the bantamweight GOAT, a few people are calling Aljamain Sterling.
Potentially.
There's not many other people who have, like, the people that he beat in his tenure as champ. It was quite impressive.
It was.
Although it was, a fairly short reign, but we haven't seen that much of a long reign from any of the bantamweight champs of previous years.
The other consensus would be either Dominic Cruz or Henry Cejudo, but obviously Henry Cejudo got beat by Sterling. There's a lot of red flags over, or asterisks over some of his wins, like Henry coming back from a 3-year layoff. TJ Dillashaw was already injured.
Yeah.
Obviously the Piotr Jan first win, we all know about that. The second win was very close.
It was very close.
Very, very close.
But he did what he needed to do.
Yeah. I gave that to him, and I was chuffed by that. I'm glad that he got that win.
He played backpack.
Yeah, he did well. He did very well. And Sean's just beaten that guy. Second round knockout, clean. Didn't get hit, didn't get taken down. Confidence super high. Very intriguing fight. I'm not going to give you a prediction because we'll do that on our 299 pre-show. But this card is stacked to the gills.
Yeah.
It really is. Dustin Poirier Saint Denis. That's the one that I'm really looking forward to on this card.
Yeah.
Obviously the title fight too, but
that is a banger waiting to happen.
This answers so many questions. Is Poirier still in it for the long run? Is Saint Denis going to be able to hang with one of the top guys who's been doing it for so long? Is Poirier's chin done now, or not done but weaker after?
I think we're going to see a brawl. The last time we saw a matchup like this for Dustin was when he fought Dan Hooker, and I think I've said that before. But I'll say it again. I'll double down on that. I think this, they both wanted a 5-round fight. They both really want a war, it seems. And Saint Denis has been quite outspoken about the fact that he sees himself as the new BMF. So I'm excited to see if he can go in there and hang with someone who.
It's the perfect way to show.
Yeah.
I really hope that Dustin still has it, and he can. Dustin's a bit of an odd guy. Sometimes acts a bit weird, but he's a legend, and he's a really good dude.
Glass houses.
He's a brawler.
Don't throw stones in glass houses. If you're going to start talking about weird guys.
I know.
Okay.
Look at him with his fucking.
But yeah, I hear what you're saying. He's going to go in there and he's going to put his hands up and keep walking forward. Yeah. And I think that's the attitude from both of them, which is what is going to make it such an exciting fight.
100%. And they've both got insane grappling and striking. You know, Saint Denis, Poirier, I really don't see getting submitted. You know, he's shown some really good submission defense in his years. Just don't let him get you in a rear naked choke, Poirier, because you will die.
Yeah.
This is kryptonite.
Look, I don't think this is going to go to the ground personally.
Yeah, no,
I think this will
I.
be a
Neither do
kind
I.
of go out on your sword.
Maybe
kind
one of them
battle.
will shoot if someone's starting to get the better of them on the feet. You never know.
Moving down a little bit more.
Chihugian and Barber, good fight. Macy Barber, they're obviously trying to build her up to be one of the next bantamweight stars. So, you know, real interesting fight here if she can take out Chihugian, who is a former title challenger. A really good sign for her.
Mm-hmm. Blades versus Almeida. This
Almeida
is one that I'm really looking forward to.
This isn't in order, by the way.
Eh? Is it not?
No, it's not. This is just the whole card that's just randomly put together.
Oh.
Don't know why it's like that, but
it is odd.
Because this is on the prelims.
Huh.
I think this is too. Oh no, maybe not.
What are they doing?
But Blades Almeida, yeah, great fight.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
It's going to answer a bunch of questions.
Almeida coming up against someone who can finally wrestle.
Yeah.
So I think that will like when we saw Almeida versus Lewis, it was pretty hard to watch. Like any time that he wanted to take the fight to the ground, he got it there. And I think Blades is going to give him a lot more problems
He won't be able to take Blades down like that.
No.
And does he have hands? If he can't take the guy down, can he stand on the feet and bang with someone, you know? Because Blades has shown he's got knockout power. He's got good boxing. He's knocked out some legends.
Yep. And Almeida obviously being one of the smaller guys in the heavyweight division.
Yeah. Jacked though.
Normally coming in quite a wee way underweight. But yeah, I agree with you. Very strong. We saw him just slam Derek Lewis a few times in that last fight, which was
not easy to do.
No, he's a big guy. But yeah, that again, another great fight.
Gamrot Dos Anjos, huge for that division. You know, can Dos Anjos poise another run towards the belt? Can Gamrot, you know, pose his dominance over someone else, a legend?
Yeah, Gamrot has had a bit of a rough run of things lately. But I think, yeah, this could put him back on the right track. Well, hasn't he? Bring up Gamrot's. He got very close to fighting for a title there, and now he's kind of wee ways out of that picture, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he took the backup. He's won. He beat Jalen Turner and Fiziev. Fiziev was obviously a knee injury, and Turner was obviously a very, very close decision. Kind of a boring one. And then obviously lost to Dariush, which was a crazy fight.
I don't know what I'm thinking about then.
You might be thinking of someone else, maybe. Maybe you're thinking of Dariush.
Maybe I just like saw the Fiziev versus Gamrot fight announced and just assumed that Fiziev was going to dominate that, which most likely
probably would have happened
if he didn't have an injury.
I thought he was winning that fight up until he got injured. But anyway, this is going to answer a bunch of questions. Munoz versus Kyler Phillips, another banger at bantamweight. Laura Murphy, Karine Silva, CJ Varana versus that guy. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena, 1 week called. This is going to answer another set of questions that we need to, you know, get answered. Yan versus Song Yadong on the fucking prelims.
Kevin Holland
versus Paige.
That fight right there is huge.
It's going to be a banger.
Yeah, this card is so deep, man.
Stack. Pereira's on the early prelims. I think that's because he missed weight.
Michelle Pereira.
Down. Yeah, Michelle Pereira.
That. But yeah, I think, look, this is a very deep card. But I don't, look, I think the main event is going to hopefully bring everything together for 300. So far, we've got Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway sitting there as the main event in, you know, on the UFC's website until they announce that big fight. But I think there's just as many exciting matchups on 300, if not possibly some more exciting matchups. I hear what you're saying. I hear a lot of people have been a bit upset about this card and the fact that it's not as big as 100 or 200 or whatever, but I think we're at quite a pivotal point in the UFC at the moment where we have seen a lot of the star power sucked out of these divisions lately just due to like You know, like Izzy taking a couple of losses in the last couple of years. That's not great for his stock, and it's obviously we don't have so many questions on whether or not he can, you know, keep this thing of dominance going because he's obviously lost that. Volk taking those 2 losses to Islam. I mean, although they aren't in his natural weight class, it still kind of sucks a bit of star power out of him too. John Jones is obviously held up with injury.
Yeah.
There's a lot hanging over them at the moment, and I think the main event, whatever it may be, is going to be what pulls us together. Yeah.
Yeah, like looking at the undercard with not including the main event, it's probably about equal. Say, Poirier, Saint Denis, and Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje, very similar intrigue in both of those fights. Maybe like people are kind of riding off Holloway a little bit, and that's why people aren't as excited about this as they are about Saint Denis Poirier. They think that's going to be much closer. But I think that's an awesome fight.
Yeah,
obviously,
one that we've been wanting for a while.
And I think that maybe like there's 2 things. First of all, people were expecting 300. We're going to have all the stars: Sean Strickland, Pereira, Izzy, John Jones, Miocic, all of the Volkanovski, O'Malley. Everyone should just be on this card, but obviously it doesn't work out like that. You know, you've got to build cards outside of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't just not have any title fights for 3 years after you fucking put on 300. And
3 years.
Yeah. And the same kind of in the same kind of vein, I think the UFC, it isn't built on a model of stars now. The UFC is the star.
Yeah.
The organization is the star. People watch the UFC for the UFC now more than they used to watch the UFC for, you know, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey, John Jones. They're watching it for the event now.
It's unlike any other promotion in the world because you see like boxing or even these other kind of MMA organizations, they market the main event as the show. You know, it's like with boxing, say, you know, like this last thing was Anthony Joshua and like Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker and like all of these names were like the big thing, and then down the bottom it has your promotions that are running it, you know. Even as cringy as it is with the YouTube boxing, it's all marketed as the people who are fighting instead of the organization. With the UFC, it's UFC 300. No one's saying it's Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway at UFC 300. No, I know that's not going to be the main event, but that's what we've got currently. So yeah, that's the difference. Is it's marketed as its own thing. Therefore, it holds so much more weight.
Yeah.
And I agree.
People watch the UFC for the UFC now.
Yeah.
That's exactly where they wanted to get to. Instead of having these stars that are carrying the organization carries the stars.
Yeah. And that way you don't need to pay everyone as much.
Yeah, that way you can really underpay every single fighter. You know? It works. So I'm not disappointed by 300. Or maybe, well, in some ways I'm kind of disappointed by 300 because there's just some fights on there that I don't think necessarily should be taking up the spot that they're taking up.
What ones?
Like maybe Zhang Weili, Yan Zhaonan. I thought that would have been a great fight for, you know, maybe 301 or maybe like a fight night in China. That would have been great for that. Mm-hmm. Super exciting. But saying that, it's probably going to be a banger, so I can't complain about that one. Yeah, maybe just you can't really see. I don't know.
There's so many good fights on this.
There's quite a few good fights. I'm really excited for this fight here.
Bobby Green, Jim Miller.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Look, I'm really looking forward to seeing Garbrandt get knocked out by Figgy. Yeah, I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. There is a lot of hype on this fight. I don't know why Bo Nickal's fighting Cody Brundage. He's going to run through that guy, but that's probably why he's fighting him, to be honest.
He's 5-0.
Yeah.
He's still fairly inexperienced.
But Cody Brundage is god awful.
I mean, look, it's the fight that he needs to take at this point in his career, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, if you throw him in there against Hamzat, which there has been some chat about,
I think he'd do all right.
I think he'd do all right, but look, Hamzat is carrying a lot more experience.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
that's what they do. But no, I'm in agreement. I think, like, not including the main event, because obviously we don't have one for 300 yet. The undercards are equal in terms of, intrigue. Because that's what we watch it for. We're intrigued about what might happen as hardcores, you know? We
Yeah.
we want answers, you know? We're not just there for a brawl. We
And
want to see if Max Holloway can do it against fucking Justin Gaethje, you know?
there's a lot of fun fights on this too. Like we've got Aljo moving up from bantamweight to fight his first time at featherweight. We've got, like I just said, Figgy, who has fought once at bantamweight before, but you know, still making his way through the rankings there.
And against Garbrandt, who's looked okay in his last few fights. Yes, he's not been against opponents like Figgy, but you know, Figgy's a lot smaller. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And then obviously Max Holloway making a return to lightweight. The last time he did that was one of my all-time favorite fights against Dustin Poirier.
It's a great fight.
That was an incredible fight. So if he can bring that same kind of energy against Gaethje, and I know Gaethje does bring that kind of energy out of people, then that's going to be
yeah, exactly. I just hope that Max can have at 155. The one thing that I want from this fight to see, the one thing I'm like wishing for Max is, especially after the Korean Zombie fight, he got the KO with a one punch knockout, which is unlike Max.
And it's also unlike the Korean Zombie.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm hoping that Max has the power in his hands now. He's developed that power in his hands that Justin will feel and think, shit, I've got to respect this power. Because if he can't hurt Justin's going to be like, I can take this all night, and then he's going to start hurting Max a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, we've seen that in so many of Justin's fights.
Yeah,
Justin's fights. He just
the Tony fight,
the Michael Johnson fight.
Yeah,
that is a banger.
He hurt him big time. Michael Johnson.
Yeah, even the Dustin Poirier fight before, like it was obviously quite an early knockout, but up until then they were trading a fair bit too. And Dustin's quite well known to have some decent power in his hands.
But Justin looks like he's on form at the moment, man. In that last fight against Poirier, he was so quick, smooth, slick. Like, I kind of want him to beat Holloway so he actually gets to fight for the belt one more time, because he's looking so good. Like, he's in the peak of his career right now. And yeah, 300. 299, 300. We're in for some good fucking nights fighting, guys.
It's just
quit your bitching.
Another example of the UFC stepping it up year after year.
Yeah,
I don't know how they keep this train going, but they manage.
Dana White.
They manage to do it every single year. It's just
100%,
100 times better than the last year.
No, it's insane. Basically, coming out of this, all I have to say is, guys, just stop worrying. It's going to be a good year. 300 is just a number, and it's a great card. So, you know, you can't have every single massive star on this card. It just doesn't work. 300 sells itself. There's going to be a main event announced soon. Can't wait for that. I want that to be announced like now, but it's going to be announced soon.
He said it was supposed to be announced this week, I believe.
Yeah, he did.
So I'm not sure. There must be some sort of hold up. Look, and the other thing is too, is these stars that people are calling for to be on this card, they are most likely going to fight this year anyway, okay? There is most likely going to be a whole card built around these guys. Like Sean O'Malley's a perfect example, fighting on 299. He would have been a great name to have on 300 in terms of star power, in terms of like a pay-per-view draw. But as we see, 299 is a stacked card, and a lot of it is built around him.
Yeah.
Fighting in Miami, boom, another big thing for the UFC, you know, like that's huge. And there's all these venues and all these events that they're putting on this year that are just going to be crazy. So to say that, you know, UFC 300 isn't quite living up to, you know, Brock Lesnar headlining it or whatever, you know,
you just wait for 400.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Brock will be back. You just wait for 301, 302, 304, 3, 4, both. And they're going to be stacked too. You just know it. So just get over it, basically.